The entire league is talking about what would be the biggest trade of the year, and the World Series hasn't even started yet. Will the Mets or some other big market team make an offer for our very own Ketel Marte? And will the Diamondbacks take it? Well, we do know that they're at least listening.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, the show where we talk nothing but the Diamondbacks Monday through Friday. And thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every single day. I am your host, Danon Biggs. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, if you guys are watching this, as opposed to just listening to it, you can see I finally found my Salt River Rafters hat. I bought it brand new. I was super excited to show it off because we were going to talk about the Fall League on the show, and I just lost it and I couldn't find it. Anyway, I finally found it. It took like 4 days, but finally found. I can sleep now, is what I'm saying. It's a cool logo, by the way. It's really fun. The whole Fall League. I love the teams and the names and everything. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, you guys. We're talking about something pretty big. This weekend, everybody seemed to be talking about Ketel Marte and this seemingly done deal of him going to the New York Mets. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about if that's really even feasible, like if that's even likely to happen, let alone is it possible? And if that did happen, who would we get in return for Ketel Marte, assuming that management does their job and gets what is worth it and receives an offer that they couldn't refuse. And finally, we're going to end the show by talking a bit about our relief pitchers and our bullpen, and specifically if we should re-sign any of our outgoing pitchers. So we'll talk about that. That'll be fun. But let's start talking about Ketel Marte. So Ketel Marte had one of his biggest seasons of his career, but again, he's becoming very consistent in what he's outputting. And the Diamondbacks recently signed him to a huge 6+ year, $100 million plus contract. And we have him here till 2031. He is staying with the team for a very long time, right? Well, maybe not. We do know that the Diamondbacks are listening to trade offers. They may have been listening to trade offers even in the season before the trade deadline, but we know they're listening to see if anybody wants to take on the remaining 6 years and $92.5 million contract of Ketel Marte after this season. So is that worrying? Are we like, oh no, what the heck? Well, I don't really think so. I think it would be kind of irresponsible not to listen. I mean, if somebody came to you and was like, hey, you got that really sweet hat, I want to buy it from you, I'd be like, no way. I bought this hat brand new. I went to a game with my daughter and my brother, and we had a great time. And I bought the hat. It's a memory. I don't want to sell it. Also, then I lost it, and it took forever to find it again. I worked really hard for this hat. There's no way I'm going to sell it to you. And they go, what if I gave you $100,000? I'd be like, okay, here you go. I wouldn't even think twice about it. So is this going to be that $100,000 for a hat sort of deal? Or are the Diamondbacks just looking to get rid of Marte? Because we know that, we don't know. But the fact that so many people have been reporting on it, I think it's pretty fair to say that there has been some issues in the locker room with Ketel Marte amongst the other players, just because of the time off that he's had. And he spent 3 days out of the country after the All-Star break. He took time off during what may have been minor injuries, but were treated as kind of bigger injuries. And so from reports, the team has been upset with Marte this season over that kind of stuff. Now, do I think that he took off more time than he should have? Not really. I mean, sure. But I don't know. I think your house gets robbed during the All-Star break. It's kind of a big deal. I would have taken off more than 3 days. Injuries, I know Lovello has really been making it a priority to let the players slowly come back and recover, as to not, one, re-aggravate the injury, but also two, just to keep their energy high throughout the entirety of the season, keep them from burning out. So I don't have a problem with Marte as of right now. And Geraldo Perdomo even came out and crashed the uh, post game interview with Lovello, basically saying, "I'm done hearing about this. There's nothing to report on. I don't want to hear anymore. The guys are all here to play baseball. Ketel Marte is great. We're all good." And obviously, if everything really was good, I probably wouldn't feel the need to go out there and say that. So I that felt more of a message. I could see that being kind of a message also to the players, like, guys, we're done. We're not worrying about this anymore. Ketel's here to play. He's been through some stuff, and that's just how it is. Like, he played more games than most of the other guys on the team did. So if you're asking me, I don't think that would be a big problem. But but it could be a bigger problem than we think. I don't have all the information. So if there really is a big problem and the Diamondbacks are just looking to trade him, and they see like, "Ooh, we could get like a pretty good return," then maybe the Diamondbacks are eager to trade him, which I would kind of be sad. But if that's the case, then that's the case, and that needs to happen. So I don't know. But anyway, let's go through some of the evidence here. So we know that we have a from Bob Nightingale from USA Today. He said, while the Diamondbacks plan to listen to trade offers for Marte this winter, they privately believe it's unlikely any team would offer a fair package in return for a 3-time All-Star who's under contract for 6 more years for $92.5 million after this season. Reminder, there's players who are getting $700 million deals for a similar time frame. I mean, maybe not exactly similar, but yeah, hundreds and hundreds of dollar deals. So for Marte, for 6 years for less than 100, that's a smoking deal. And he's already a 3-time All-Star. He's only 32 years old. He's got a lot ahead of him still. Like, yeah, I think what Nightingale's saying here, I think, is probably the closest thing to true, which is Diamondbacks are like, yeah, we'll listen, but we're not expecting anybody to really give us anything, which is a good negotiation tactic. Because also, if I'm the Mets and I hear that, I'm like, oh man, they're listening, but if I hear, oh, they're listening, oh, okay, let's put it in. Let's see if we can get a good deal for him. But then I hear we're probably not going to give him to anybody, because I don't think anybody's going to want to give us what would be fair. Now I'm thinking, oh, okay, they're serious. So they'll listen, but we really have to give them a lot. So good negotiation tactic, I guess. But but who was so Dan Bartel? According to Dan Bartel, he tweeted recently, a few days ago, that the Mets were interested in Ketel Marte. After hearing that the Diamondbacks are listening to offers, the Mets are interested in making an offer. And there's a good chance that they've already kind of put in some feelers, and there's some negotiating potentially happening now. Like, the next few days could be a big deal about that, which there's no trades can really happen yet, but the conversations can. The thing about it, though, is that Marte responded to that tweet, and he said, when translated in English, he says, "Ha ha ha, go to sleep, sleep you go," smiley face, which in Spanish, I tried to find the actual thing, because I do know a good amount of Spanish, but is probably like, yeah, sleep on that. Like, that's not the sound. It sounded like he's saying, yeah, don't lose any sleep over that, or yeah, you sleep on that, think about it, if that's actually possible. So it kind of sounds to me like he's saying, yeah, probably not. But the fact that he did respond to it makes people go, Well, and he didn't say no. He kind of laughed about it. So that could be another negotiating tactic. I don't know, but it's got people talking and thinking out loud and posting about it, and so I don't necessarily think that Marte is going to get traded to the Mets or is going to get traded, but if he does get traded, I I could see the Mets being the ones crazy enough to do it. The one thing also in a separate article, I saw something that they were the thing with the Mets is there's a good chance that they're going to be parting ways with Jeff McNeil, who is their Ketel Marte, their second baseman or whatever. And so they would need somebody. They do have a handful of people who are coming up, a bunch of prospects and backups who are kind of looking to take the role from him anyway. So they're probably trying to get something from him. But McNeil is going to be a free agent after next year. So he has one more year on his contract, and then he has a team option, I believe, or a player option, one of the two. And he's about the same age as Marte. He's 33 as opposed to 32. And he had a fairly good season. It was kind of a short season, but he had a 2.0 WAR, 12 home runs, 54 RBIs, and a slash line of 243, 335, and 411. So slugging of 411. Ketel Marte, though, had a 4.4 WAR as opposed to 28 home runs, 72 RBIs, and his slash line was 283, 376, 517. Considerably better in every single metric there. Like very much better. And he's not going to be a free agent until 2031 as opposed to 2027. And so in the article that I was reading about that, they were like, well, maybe, McNeil could go to the Diamondbacks for Marte. Absolutely not. That is a horrible, that's not even close to speculation. That's just horrible speculation, really. However, to be fair, they do say, but maybe we'll have to throw in the Mets will have to throw in a prospect or two. No, I think they're going to have to throw in I think they're going to have to throw in the whole AAA team if they're looking to trade for prospects. But we're going to talk about that actually right after this break. So don't go anywhere because we're going to talk about specifically who we would get or who we could get from the Mets if something like this were to happen. So stay right there. We'll be right back. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting the tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. So the Mets, the thing, when I first heard about this rumor, the speculation is I'm like, okay, well, clearly the Mets must have some killer starting pitching or bullpen arms or something. Because they're like, well, the Diamondbacks need pitching. The Mets need to bolster their offense. So that just makes sense. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what the Mets pitching is. It's not great. Like, it's fine. But there's not any one pitcher that I'm like, ooh, Ketel Marte for Edwin Diaz? I mean, Diaz is good. I mean, he's going to be a free agent actually, so maybe we just sign him anyway. But yeah, the Mets are not like firing on all cylinders when it comes to their pitching. Their bullpen, granted, better than ours, had a ERA of 3.93, which puts them right at 15th in the league average. So they're right smack in the middle. So nothing super great there. And their starting pitching, was 5.09. Oh, recent starting pitching was 5.09. Oh, come on, AI, show me the whole answer. Sorry, this is what happens when you do research on the spot. But I have to be more specific. The AI is not very good. The team ERA for 2025 was 4.03, which, again, a little better than ours, but not not great. And they don't have any. Their best pitcher was Kodai Senga with 3.02. So I mean, not bad. But I wouldn't trade Ketel Marte for him. Maybe, but but here's what we're looking at. Let's say we throw in Senga and we throw in Jeff McNeil. That's still not enough. Like that may be like on paper, like, okay, that's two good starters, two experienced starters, starting players, a starting pitcher and an infielder. Okay, that's a good deal for one infielder. But the Diamondbacks would never accept that, because also I don't know what Senga's what his contract is. It looks like he's a free agent in 2029. So we'd have him for a little bit, 2 years less than Marte. He's 30 years old. So at least, like, maybe that would be a fair thing to throw in. That might sweeten, that might make it a bit more compelling. But what you got to have, I mean, you got to at that point be like, okay, well, we're just going to throw in the full, a whole bunch of our prospects. So we could be like, okay, well, here's our prospects from the Braves. We have, Cam Caminiti, who is their top prospect, but he won't be ready until 2028. Left-handed pitcher. And it looks like, I mean, he's in single A, 2.08. So yeah, he's got some good stuff. So that's pretty good. But again, he's a ways away. But throw him in, maybe. J.R. Ritchie, do we want him? Let's see. Maybe he's in AAA. So okay, let's throw in Ritchie as well. Like, but that's when, I'm Mike Hazen and I'm on the phone. I'm going through this prospect rankings. I'm like, you want Ketel Marte? Okay, let's take a look. Well, let's throw in. Oh, I'm looking at the Braves. This isn't the right team. Oh, how embarrassing! But you get the idea. Darn it. Why did I look up the Braves? I had that preloaded and everything. And as I'm talking, I'm like, wait a minute, these guys sound familiar, but not the same ones. Anyway, but you get the idea. That's I think what would have to happen is you'd be like, okay, now I got it. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, you got, okay, well, I got Nolan McLean. Okay, but he kind of, I don't know. Looking at his stats, he pitched in the majors this year, did pretty good. Okay, let's throw in McLean. But do we need an outfielder? We do kind of need an outfielder, but his numbers in AAA kind of stink. You guys can't really super see that. But his in AAA, yeah, he's struggling. He's only got like a 178 average, 3 home runs. He's still got a ways to go. Jet Williams, Jonah Tong is one that a lot of people are talking about, and I could see Tong being a fairly good. He's still got a long way to go. He pitched in the majors. 5 games, started 5 games, but he has a 7.71 ERA in 18 innings. 22 strikeouts in 18 innings. That's not too bad. So he's got stuff. But again, I don't think you go, ooh, Ketel Marte? Okay, well, we're getting Jonah Tong for Ketel Marte. No. What kind of that's a horrible deal. Oh, we're getting Nolan McLean for Ketel Marte, their number 1 prospect. Great. What if he doesn't pan out? A lot of number 1 prospects don't pan out. Ketel Marte is panning out right now. And he could have an off season in 2026. It's possible. He could slow down. He could start to, over the next few years, lose production. And then, in 2030, it's like, well, we can't really get anything for him now. But that's a long ways away. And the chances of him falling off steep right away is pretty low, especially considering he's been fairly consistent the last 3 or 4 years. So you want Marte? I'm like, okay, but we need to get Senga or something. I mean, I don't think I would settle for anybody else. I'm like, yeah, we need your number one pitcher. We need Jeff McNeil but he's just icing on the cake. I don't think, because he's only going to be here for one more year, and he's fine, but also he's injured, So, but I that wouldn't be a deal breaker. And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, throw in McLean, throw in Tong, maybe throw in another, Jet Williams, their shortstop, second baseman prospect in AAA. And then even still, I'm like, first round picks or some draft picks, something like it has to be such a deal. Like, it has to be something that we could not refuse. But again, the Mets are kind of the team to do that. I think they had the highest payroll this year. They didn't even make the playoffs. So they are desperately like needing to make some big waves this year. They need to make the playoffs in 2026. They need to win the World Series in 2026. Like, that's where they are. And they have a chip on their shoulder. The fans have a chip on their shoulder. Ownership does. I mean, management does. They are like, we have to, like, they're desperately wanting to add to their team to make it even better, because they're in too deep at this point. They can't just go, well, we have the biggest payroll in 2025. Let's just tone it back a little bit. Like, I kind of wish the Diamondbacks weren't doing that. I kind of wish they were like, well, yeah, let's add a little bit. I'm not saying the Diamondbacks need to spend $300,000 or $300 million this season. It would be nice if they'd spend 200, 210 or something like that. Or if the number was 220, if it went to 230 or something, that'd be kind of cool. But the Mets feel like they're kind of, they have deep pockets and they want to make it happen. And to have a guy like Marte for the next 6 years locked down, man, that would be huge for them. So if they go, listen, we want him, and we will give you whatever you want for Ketel Marte, and then Mike Hazen is able to just sit down and go, okay, we want this guy. We want this guy. We want Senga. We want McNeil. We want McClellan. We want Tong. We want Jet Williams. We want Ryan Clifford. We want your first 3 draft picks for 2026 or 2027. And if they're like, sure, deal, you got him, then I guess maybe we'd take that. I don't know. That'd be a really rough call. But the thing about it is that the Diamondbacks do have, they have Corbin Carroll, they have Perdomo. If the two of them are able to continue what they had this last year, that's big. If Moreno can stay healthy, he's going to perform really well. I think he's due for a breakout season offensively, to be honest. Jordan Lawler, I think, is going to come out stronger than ever. I wouldn't be surprised if Blaze Alexander comes out swinging real good. If we can get like a Paul Goldschmidt at first and he's able to produce some pretty decent offense. I mean, our offense isn't the problem. A big reason for that is Ketel Marte. But if there's a smoking deal and it's like, okay, the Diamondbacks are going to be set this year and for the next 5 or 6 years with not one, but 6 or 7 all-star caliber players, then maybe that's worth it. But it's tough to say. Again, like, it has to be such a lopsided deal that nationwide sports news is like talking about it. Like, what are the Mets doing? This is a horrible deal. Why did they do it? If that happens, then okay, I'll be all right with it. I would take that. But I don't think the Mets are stupid. And I hope Mike Hazen isn't stupid. I don't think he is. But I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Marte is going to play here in 2026. And I think we're going to continue kind of similar with the roster that we have right now. We'll add a few guys in the bullpen. We might add a first baseman. Again, I'm hoping for Paul Goldschmidt. We may add hopefully, like, maybe McCann comes back. But I don't think there's going to be any huge shakeups. But it is good to see that everybody is really kind of wanting our guys. That's kind of fun. But anyway, you guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the bullpen and what we have and what we could use. And we're going to talk about that right after this short break. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So the big question that a lot of D-backs fans have right now is, as far as our bullpen goes, aside from who are we going to get, who are we going to sign, who are we going to trade for, all that kind of stuff, is Jalen Beeks. It's kind of like our only one that we're like, do we re-sign him or do we let him go? Because he is a free agent this upcoming season. And he had, Jalen Beeks, like every reliever, it feels like they have a good year, but then they have a slump, or they give up. They blow a save here or there, and that one or two blown saves completely wipes away all goodwill towards them from the fan base. I think that's kind of the case for Jalen Beeks. In the middle of the season, he did have a pretty rough stint where he wasn't really putting up the numbers that we wanted. But in the beginning of the season and then towards the end of the season, he actually, he was our more reliable guy. Also, this doesn't have much to do with it, but his delivery is wonky. Have you seen? So Jalen Beeks, in case you don't recognize which one he is, Jalen Beeks is the one. He has this delivery where he goes into his windup, but he doesn't show the batter the ball until mid throw. Most pitchers, they'll bring the ball back behind them before they throw it. Jalen Beeks does this weird thing where it's just, I've never seen it before, where he holds the ball behind his head or something, and then he releases it around his ear. And I feel like when he has good control of it, it's unhittable. The batters are they're guessing. They have no idea where the ball even is, let alone where it's going. It does feel like sometimes he struggles with location, but when he's on. He's great. And so is 2026 going to be going to have a consistent and talented Jalen Beeks? Because if it does, then we absolutely want to sign him. And right now, he'll probably want to test the waters of free agency, see what offers he gets. The Diamondbacks could extend an offer to him. The Diamondbacks paid, I think it was $1.6 million for this year, and according to the experts, I don't know who the experts are, but according to the internet, he's probably worth about $1 million, maybe 1.1, 1.2 million, but he's going to want more than what he got paid last year. And so he's probably going to be looking for $2 million, and he might get it from another team. He might get it from the Diamondbacks. I think if the Diamondbacks are struggling to find people, which I think they already have a list going, and if they're like, oh, this is a short list, and I don't know that we're going to be able to really get much of these guys, then Jalen Beeks might be at the top of their list, honestly, and I think he should be. I think he warrants the offer. And $2 million, I'd love $2 million in 2026, but $2 million for that caliber of player isn't crazy high, especially if he can be consistent and deliver. But let's look at who else we have right now that's not injured, because we have Puck and Martinez. We're not going to see them until at least halfway through the season, maybe not at all. Puck may be gone after that, so we don't know. We may have seen the last of AJ Puck, but there's a chance we'll see them at least at some point in the season. And if it's towards the end of the season and we're making a run for the playoffs, having them show up at the end of the season could be huge and could make a huge difference. So, so let's not discount them completely, or, let's not count them out completely of the equation. But we also have, a lot of our younger guys. We have Philip Abner, who did a very good job at the end of the season. Austin Pope did very well. Andrew Hoffman, who we got in the trade. Brandon Garcia, who we got in the trade. Taylor Rashi, who we called up, who did really well to start. Andrew Saalfrank, I think he's our clear closer. He has amazing stuff, and in the small sample size that we got from him, it was pretty small, but the small sample size we got from him, incredible stuff. He's our best pitcher. So will that continue in a full season? Probably not, but I think he's got some really good stuff, and we need to I think we need to have a designated closer, and we need to have a designated setup guy, and we need to have a designated setup guy. What's that called? Hold guy? I don't know. We need to have a designated seventh inning guy. We need to have a seventh, eighth, and ninth inning guy. And it sounds like the vibes we're kind of getting is that they want it to be kind of a case by case utility type thing when it comes to who to bring up in the bullpen. That's what the front office wants. That's what management wants. Whereas Torey Lovullo seemingly, and I would think, would want to have their roles picked out pretty clearly. Maybe at least the setup and the closer. The seventh, a sixth inning, a seventh inning guy, yeah, you do whatever you got to do, see who's doing good right now. But I think you want roles. And if Saalfrank, who's able to generate a lot of ground balls, able to get out of innings pretty quick, I mean, if he's able to do 10 pitch innings every night, he could do that. Maybe give him a night off every so often, but that is, I think, doable. Then you have Ryan Thompson, who had a pretty good year this year. He was one of our more consistent arms. Low bar, but still, he did pretty good. John Curtis, I think he's got a lot of stuff, and he's a bit older, but I think he'd do good in the lineup. And right there, without Beeks, that's 8 relievers. Now, I think we need to seriously look into some veteran arms, some people who aren't necessarily at their peak, but just people who can bring some consistency. This year, I mean, Kenley Jansen is a free agent. I know he's not at his best right now, but if we get a good deal for him, sign him to a 1-year contract, I mean, he may provide some really much needed consistency to the bullpen. And then, I mean, if we want to spend some money, Edwin Diaz is a free agent, and that'd be kind of fun to have that trumpet playing. And I don't know if he still does that, but that would be pretty wild to have that in Chase Field. But I could see either or both of those signings happening, to be completely honest. And then we rotate between the 10 of them. And Jalen Beeks, if we sign him too, that's 11 relief pitchers that then we're kind of picking our pick of the litter there for who's up. Is Taylor Rashi doing really good? Cool, let's keep him in. Is he struggling? Well, let's send him down to Reno and let's bring up Brandon Garcia and let's let him do that. And that also gives us a pretty good balance of right-handed and left-handed pitchers. So, but we've seen what happens when the front office goes, well, we got a lot of prospects. We got a lot of really young guys who are coming in. They're doing great. Let's just leave them. Let's not touch the bullpen. That's what they did in 2024, and that's what they did in 2025. 2 years in a row, and both years, awful bullpen. Did not work very well. We had some glimmers of hope here and there, but those glimmers of hope get injured. That just happens. Stuff like that happens. So they need to really overfill the bullpen this year, and I think that's what they're planning on doing. So anyway, but let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Marte, and if you think there is a good deal out there for him. Do you think we could get something good for him? Do you think, heck no, we got to keep him here? Let me know what you think about the bullpen. Are there any good players that we ought to be signing or looking into or potentially trading for? Let me know in the comments. Do you like my new hat? It's kind of a cool logo. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, you guys, be sure to follow us on X and Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Diamondbacks. We're on YouTube and all other places. that you get your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, you can go find more of my YouTube channels and projects at my website, slackshack.tv. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow morning.